Yes, I know summer's gone. It's gone away like yesterday. All we have left are a few sounds of summer. I don't know, let's find out. Welcome back again, folks, for the final episode of the Beach Boys' Greatest Hits Retrospective. We've looked at every major hits package from 1966's Best of the Beach Boys up to what is almost the present day. And what better way to cap it off than with last summer's big release, the 60th anniversary set, Beach Boys Sounds of Summer Reissue, Sounds of Summer Part 2, Sounds of Summer Expansion, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The point is, Sounds of Summer came back again to honor us with new mixes, new tracks, and a few new ideas. So you might remember, whether you watched the series or not, in 2003, the Beach Boys had a big success with the Sounds of Summer, compiling many of their top 40 singles, not all of them, but certainly the majority, and releasing them on vinyl and CD to great success. Sounds of Summer remains one of the group's best-selling albums, possibly the best-selling one. I know it's close between it and Endless Summer as to which one sold the most, but Sounds of Summer, a must-have for even the most casual Beach Boys fans. Yeah, this is where you find all those major hits in one handy place. Something we've talked about on here a few times before is that Sounds of Summer had a sequel, which was not especially well received. It sold reasonably well, peaking around number 40 or so. The Warmth of the Sun. The Warmth of the Sun combined a few of the missing top 40 singles like It's Okay and The Little Girl I Once Knew. It had some fan favorites like Surf's Up, had some lower charting singles like Sail on Sailor and Friends, had a few oddities like Don't Go Near the Water, and some popular live draws, Catch a Wave, Hawaii 409, and so on. A little bit of everything, but Warmth of the Sun just didn't really resonate much with audiences, and it's kind of quickly forgotten. I have a whole video on that. And that brings us to Sounds of Summer Reissue. Because for the 60th anniversary of America's Band, you gotta do something nice. So what better than to take what is probably the most prominent, the de facto hits package, and redo it for a whole new generation. So you've probably seen that hype sticker by now, and you know that it's not just the song list, but also how it's made. In this issue of Endless Summer Quarterly, there's a whole section, an interview with producers Mark Linnett and Alan Boyd. I'll show you their photo. These gentlemen here, talking about this release. Now, I've done a few videos on Sounds of Summer before, and one, of course, is the unboxing video, which I'll hold up the box set for you. My most watched video, actually, is me unpacking the deluxe edition of the vinyl set there for you. If you can put up with all my stream of conscious narration, then maybe you'll enjoy that video too. But it's been the longest reigning top video on my channel for quite a long time. Here's one of the records from it there. I also did an unboxing of the Target exclusive version, which came with the special Beach Boys 60th anniversary slip mat. This goes on your record player there. Very nice. And we've talked at length about the 3 CD package. You could buy the first double album there as an individual release, or, as I'm sure many people, myself included, did, get the 3 CD box set. The CDs are not available separately, barring the first one, so if you want all 3 discs, all the songs, then you must purchase them as a collection. You can't just get disc 2 or disc 3 or whatever. So I've talked a lot about Sounds of Summer, and if you've watched my channel for a while, if you've watched these other videos, most of what I'm going to say is pretty much the same stuff I said in those. But I wanted to go over it all again as a capstone to our greatest hits adventure, and a few new insights here and there. And please do comment below, because I always like to hear what you guys think, especially of a release that proved to be as controversial as this one was. Because while Mark Linnett and Alan Boyd talk about they wanted to use new technology, new digital extraction, AI kind of stuff, to make what would be, the definitive modern Beach Boys album, they found that it was very polarizing for fans. There you go, there's the full track list for you. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today and see, what was changed, what was kept the same. Because like something like Made in California, not every track got an updated remix. Some things stayed the same. So in that magazine I showed you, in the section where they interview these fellas about Sounds of Summer, drop my bookmark, they talk about using the new software to create new stereo mixes, like Surf and Safari, remixed in stereo for the first time. And they talk about the reception, because surprisingly, fans did not like this issue of Sounds of Summer. I think it sold reasonably well, but people who were familiar with most of these songs didn't think that the new mixes did anything to improve them. Now, you might remember, in 2021, when Feel Flows came out, it was very heavily criticized for poor mixing. Digital artifacts, things that didn't seem entirely natural in the songs and whatnot. But Feel Flows has the advantage of a lot of these tracks are rare or uncommon or exclusive, and you're really only going to find them on Feel Flows. This is the little Feel Flows. I have the big set too, but the point is, if you didn't get those sets or if you didn't want to buy any Feel Flows stuff, then you were going to have a 1970 to 1972 shaped hole in your collection, and you didn't want that. Sounds of Summer, on the other hand, all these tracks have previously been released on one thing or another. So remixing them, well, it would seem like it would pay off, could be kind of a gamble, because if fans don't like the mixes, they won't buy the set. It's not like they can't hear this song elsewhere. Now, Mark Linnett and Alan Boyd have done so much for the Beach Boys catalog, finding tapes, remixing tapes, writing essays and liner notes and whatnot, that they're pretty much immune from any major criticisms. But surprisingly, the person who got the brunt of the anger proved to be Howie Edelson, the man who wrote the liner notes and did some of the publicity work and stuff like that. A lot of people had it out for him, maybe because he was sort of the public face of the album, whatnot. I don't even think he was one of the producers even. I think he was just kind of the person who was promoting it, talking about it, writing about it. His liner notes replace Anthony D. Curtis's from the original. Very strange that people would hate on him so much for this. But I guess even though he wasn't actually curating the project, I'm sure he was involved in it to some capacity and whatnot. In that same magazine, Mark Linnett and Alan Boyd also claimed that Mike Love had a hand in choosing the tracks and that, he signed off on all the new mixes and things like that. They said they would never include anything that the actual Beach Boys themselves would oppose, that would be wrong. So, I don't know. Honestly, when it comes to the mixes, I'm just going to kind of do an umbrella statement here as I've done in the past. I found it to be a lot different doing vinyl versus CD, my car radio versus my stereo, versus whatever, with headphones, without headphones. I don't know that there's any definitive answer to, are these mixes good or bad or in between. I've gone back and forth on a lot of them. There are a couple I'll point out here that I consistently feel one way about, but for the most part, I think it's how you're listening, what you're listening with. I don't know. I will say there are some interesting choices here. I would never say, don't buy this set because the mixes are bad, because I don't really think that's true. I think the mixes are actually pretty good for the most part. So let's talk the track list now. This 2022 release, same track list as the original from 2003. They did use the new Beach Boys logo, which they were kind of pushing for a while, but I think they've slacked off on. I haven't seen this around too much. The t-shirts and stuff I bought last summer all still use the traditional one. So I don't know. I guess maybe people looked at that logo and didn't think much of it, and so they just went back to what they used before. So here we have, on the first disc, or first double record, California Girls, an older mix from 2001. New mix of I Get Around. New stereo mix of Surf and Safari. I believe the first official one. Fan mixes of Surf and Stereo, I should say. Fan stereo mixes of Surf and Safari. Dated back many years. But this is, I believe, the first actual Beach Boys one, or on a Beach Boys product. Surfin' USA gets a new mix. Fun 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 uses a 50th anniversary mix. When I say 50th anniversary, we're talking stuff from 2022, or excuse me, 2012, 2013, that kind of stuff. Stuff that was coinciding with the anniversary, yeah. Not 2022, that's 60th anniversary. Surfer Girl gets a new mix. Don't Worry Baby gets a new mix. Little Deuce Coupe doesn't. In fact, the album doesn't specify what mix is used, so presumably nothing new was done with Little Deuce Coupe. Shutdown gets a new stereo mix. Help Me Rhonda does. This is one of the few that I consistently don't like. They take off a lot of Mike Love's backing vocals and the song just sounds empty in places. I don't know. Interesting experiment. Be True to Your School, which is weirdly enough in mono. Now, Sounds of Summer was a mixture of mono and stereo. A few songs were mixed into stereo for the very first time for this project, but here we have one random mono track on the whole set. I don't know. I don't notice it too much when I'm listening through, but if I was making maybe like an audio project or something, I might definitely notice it. It's very strange. When I Grew Up to Be a Man gets a new mix, as does In My Room. God Only Knows and Sloop John B used the 30th anniversary Pet Sounds mixes from 1996, so we have stereo stuff from the 90s and stereo stuff from the 2000s and stereo stuff from the 2010s and new stuff from 2021. I don't know, a little too much going on there. Wouldn't It Be Nice uses a 50th anniversary mix. Get You Back and Come Go With Me don't specify. Rock and Roll Music uses a 2013 50th anniversary mix. Dance Dance Dance, Barbara Ann, Do You Wanna Dance all get new mixes. Heroes and Villains uses one from 2017. You might remember. That's when we saw Sunshine Tomorrow. Someday I'm going to do a video on Sunshine Tomorrow and talk more about it, but they remixed all the Wild Honey, Smiley Smile era stuff and re-released it, and a lot of those mixes sound quite good. So that probably ties in mostly with that project. Good Timin' and Kokomo, no specifications there. Do It Again, Wild Honey, and Darlin' all get new mixes for 2021. Interestingly, those mixes would supersede the ones on here for Wild Honey and Darlin'. So they opted not to keep those 2017 ones, to replace them. I Can Hear Music, not specified, and Good Vibrations got a new mix. This created a meme because that was the first track released to promote this album, and they famously cut off a small piece of Carl Wilson's vocal, so he said, "I love the colorful clothes she wear," which that became kind of a gag. So again, a great list of songs, very strong list of top 40 singles for the group, and for the most part, some interesting choices in terms of the mixing. Get updates for a lot of the songs. Most of them, I would say, are certainly listenable. There's only a few little notes I had for you there, but good way to start the set. But let's dig a little bit deeper here. I'll show you the CD real quick. As the 3 CD set uses those cardboard sleeves, I wanted to put them in actual cases. So first disc and the first record as well, both use capital Rainbow logos on them. So no differences between the discs there. Here is our second CD or second double record set. I'll show you the gatefold there. This is actually the thumbnail for that unboxing video, although the glare from the lights kind of messed it up a little. On this release, we start off with All Summer Long and Good to My Baby, both using 50th anniversary mixes, and both of those, I believe, were on, oh no, I'm sorry, only All Summer Long was on the Warmth of the Sun set. That was actually the starter to this set. I'm thinking of that because Good to My Baby is often done live, as is All Summer Long, so they kind of go together. We have a selection of stuff from Sunflower / Surf's Up / Feel Flows, with This Whole World, All I Want to Do, and Disney Girls. Very good choices. Remember, the original Sounds of Summer only had 3 songs from the 70s. Rock and Roll Music, Good Timin', and Come Go With Me. So it makes sense that they would, be pushing these songs that are now well loved, even though they were kind of forgotten when they came out. Kiss Me Baby, 50th anniversary mix, Let the Wind Blow, 2017 mix, and Forever. Flip the record over for Sail On Sailor, not a new mix. Long Promised Road, doesn't specify using anything from Feel Flows or any new material there. Cotton Fields uses the 2020 mix. This was also on Feel Flows, but the bizarre part is they kept the little session that comes before the song of a very young, probably 4-year-old Matt Jardine helping his dad start the song. I think it's weird that they kept it because it kind of interrupts the flow of the album to a degree. It also uses that reverbed intro that was new for Feel Flows. The original single version of Cotton Fields doesn't include that. That was something an idea they took from the album version and put on that. So interesting that they'd include it here. I just wish they trimmed it a little bit. Pom Pom Playgirl, which comes out of nowhere, the shortest song on the whole set at about 1.5 minutes. It feels really random here. I kind of wish they'd moved it up, put it like with Good to My Baby or something. Wind Chimes, the Smile version, the longer version there. I Went to Sleep from 2020. And Farmer's Daughter, which is next to the stuff on the first disc there that had been on there since 2003, the oldest new edition that we have. A little bit random here with Wind Chimes to I Went to Sleep, coming off Pom Pom Playgirl. I wish they'd refigured that a little bit. Doesn't flow too well. Let Us Go On This Way gets a new mix. I really like this one. It's really bombastic and over the top. You Need a Mess of Help to Stand Alone. No doubt included to prefigure Sail on Sailor, which was due out that fall. The mix on Sail on Sailor sounds better than the one here, I think. The Night Was So Young from Love You. As we haven't got a 1977 set yet, we don't have a lot of stuff from the Love You era, and very little of it has been released on hits compilations and box sets before, so it's nice we get several tracks from it here. Marcella gets a new mix. I like the Sail on Sailor one better, that will come out later that year. You're So Good to Me, 50th anniversary mix. Aren't You Glad, 2017 mix. The last of the Wild Honey stuff. Baby Blue from 1979, a great song by Dennis Wilson, gets a terrific new mix. Kind of shimmers, really helps the melancholy kind of mythos of the song there. And we polish it off with It's About Time from Sunflower/Feel Flows. We get a new mix of Do You Like Worms? And this I wasn't quite sure about because it just feels kind of strange to put it here. It's a longer track too, and it has sort of excerpts from Heroes and Villains kind of stuff and whatnot. Smile tracks are excellent, but I can definitely see a lot of people not really getting into them being here, especially because like Wind Chimes is separate from this. I don't know, I feel like they would have been better off to go with like the version of Vegetables from Smile or something like that, because I can see a lot of people thinking Do You Like Worms is a little too avant-garde for them. And then wrapping up the second CD and most of this 2 LP set, we'll talk about the exception here in a moment, is Surf's Up, which makes for a great finale. So we get a lot of different stuff, 1970s stuff, Smile stuff, a few very early tracks, kind of a hodgepodge though. The whole set, this is the most scattered disc, and I wish they'd done a little bit of rearranging. Maybe put Wind Chimes in with Do You Like Worms, move Pom Pom Playgirl around. But it is a fun listen. You know, part of that interview with Boyd and Lynette talked about they wanted to pick a variety of different songs and kind of show the depth and the breadth of the Beach Boys catalog. And honestly, it does that, at least in most capacities, I think. Now, the H side of this record kind of overlaps with the last CD. So I'm going to use this to get me started and kind of jump between the other record and the CD and this. So starting off that third, the capital, or I should say reprise, kind of tan-colored CD there, is Add Some Music to Your Day, the alternate mix of It's Okay. So making its vinyl debut, this was released exclusively on Made in California. This is the version that has that little synthesizer intro that I really like. So I'm glad it's here. And if you want to hear it on record, you finally could. Going On, the only contribution from the early 80s, and the Feel Flows mix of San Miguel. So that takes us into this last CD. And you can see what else is there. I'm going to flip over to the third set of double LPs. You'll see why they're kind of staggered in a moment. I forgot about that as I was writing this and getting set up for it. So sorry if I fumbled some there. Nice gatefold there. Very good back. Alright, we've got a new mix of The Warmth of the Sun. That one sounds pretty good. Everyone's in Love with You from 15 Big Ones. I think one of Mike Love's big favorites. He did it live many times in like the 2000s and stuff with his touring group of the Beach Boys. I'm glad it's here. It's a nice change. All This Is That. Not a fancy new mix or anything. We get California Saga California. It's the album version, but it uses the single mix title. You know, if you've watched some of my other videos, that really makes me mad, but they did it anyway. I guess because they don't care what I think. Feel Flows is on there, not a special mix or anything. 50th anniversary mixes for Wendy and Girl Don't Tell Me. 2007 mix for Let 'Em Run Wild. That actually tied in with the Warmth of the Sun release that I showed you earlier. All I Want to Do, alternate take. This is probably the weirdest choice on the whole thing, because that was only released digitally on the 2018 download I Can Hear Music 1968 sessions. I don't know exactly why it's here. I think to kind of honor Dennis, but there's a lot of Dennis compositions already on there. So I think it's kind of a strange choice. No doubt they used the second alternate take because the lyrics are closer to the final project, or final product I should say, for All I Want to Do. Of course, that is probably the Beach Boys' most sexually charged song. So again, putting it on a mass market greatest hits package doesn't happen too often, because I can definitely see someone saying, oh, I don't want to listen to an R-rated or X-rated Beach Boys song. But I like that it's here because we only had it digital before, and now it can make its physical media debut. And it is a good take of the song. Dennis does well. Ultimately, Mike Love would end up singing on the final version. Susie Cincinnati uses a Feel Flows mix. Vegetables, 50th anniversary mix, not the Smile version, the Smiley Smile version, I should say. Kind of a strange choice, because I always thought the Smile one was a lot better. And we have Time to Get Alone from 2020. Where I Belong from Beach Boys 85, making its greatest hits, or compilation in general, debut here. Really like that. You know, yeah, it's kind of a generic 80s love song, but it's nice to hear something different from the group. I Just Wasn't Made for These Times from Pet Sounds, uses a 90s mix. Little Bird from Friends, Till I Die from Surf's Up. The short Made in California version of Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again. We have Friends, a remix of the 2015 reissue of their cover of Devoted to You, along with Cotton Field's the only cover on the new discs there. And it does a good job. It's odd that they're remixing stuff that only come out a few years before, but apparently they thought it was necessary. And then we have Can't Wait Too Long. This is based on the edit from the 30th anniversary Good Vibrations box set. It's about 5 seconds shorter. I think some things were just kind of shifted around. Can't Wait Too Long was never finished. There's lots and lots of session stuff available. Yep, dropped my smile. And you can find a big section of stuff on this digital release. So here they just did kind of a quick re-edit job. It's nice to have it here though, but as it's not really a finished song, I guess there's no right or wrong way to release it. And finally we have California Feelin', one of the songs that was really pushed along with Wouldn't It Be Nice to Live Again for the Made in California release. It gets an updated remix here, and it makes for a really good closer, all told. I think they did a nice job on that. So you probably noticed the songs aren't chronological, and that was one issue that people took with Howie Edelson, and he defended it by saying, we don't live chronologically, our hearts don't beat chronologically, we don't love chronologically, so why should this be chronological? But truthfully, he could have just said, hey, barring the Good Vibrations trilogy, no major Beach Boys compilations are chronological. And he'd be right, and he could have gotten away with it. So at the end of the day, we have a pack of greatest hits and a few other interesting choices. There are some deeper cuts, some pretty fun stuff, a lot to unpack. I was going to do this in 2 videos. I smashed it into one. Tell me if you think that was a good idea. It's a fun release. I don't know that it's going to draw a lot of new fans in. I feel like there's maybe too many deep cuts. You know, the Beach Boys you have to kind of discover as you go, in my eyes. But you never know. But all told, don't let the reviews about the mixing drag you down, because there's a lot to enjoy, mixes or not. And I think if you put on Sounds of Summer, crank up the volume, I think you'll still find a way to enjoy it. As for the mixes, they are what they are. It's interesting, you know, AI is the future of music. Look at the new Beatles songs. So, you never know what we're going to find. But I hope you've enjoyed looking at all these different hits packages with me, and I know I've certainly enjoyed listening to them and talking about them. And lots more Beach Boys content to come. Reviews of Live Sunshine in Hawthorne, California are on the way. Hope you tune in for those. Got some more Criterion Collection videos coming up too. Hope to see you for that. Until then, my friends, go out there and catch a wave. Even though it's November.